Welcome back to Real Geek Media. It is Thursday, June 19th, 2025. It has been a minute. We've had some illness, we've had some power outages, we've had some technical difficulties, but we are finally back. I'm Hayden Stoll. I'm here with author Christopher Michael Blake. We're back for another review. We're doing an anniversary review. Believe it or not, it's the 20th anniversary of Steven Spielberg's Munich. 20 years. Does not feel like it's that old of a movie, but here we are. Christopher, what's new?
Hayden, I think this movie is extremely appropriate for what's going on in our world now today. Just with everything that's going on. And I know we try to avoid politics on this show, but I can't help but bring this up in the relevance to what's going on between Iran and Israel nowadays. Without getting too specific, do you think that Iran needs to have nuclear capability?
Oh boy. This is a touchy issue. I don't know. I mean, if you poll just the American people are going to say we don't need to be a part of this. I think overwhelmingly people would say we don't want to be a part of this. But you are going to have certain hardline people that are going to say, no, we need to be involved in this 100%. It's different. If you asked that question 20 years ago, I think you'd have a completely flip-flopped answer. But I think nowadays, I don't think people have a taste for this kind of thing. At least that's just kind of what I'm gathering or what I see, the feeling I get from people. So I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. I don't know. What do you stand on it?
I can only tell you what the polls say without giving away our trying to stay objective like we try to do on this show and trying to avoid politics, is that 80% of the people out there, according to CNN, do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Wow.
It's across the board.
Wow.
It's almost straight line between the GOP, the independents, and the Democrats. 80% do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Does that mean it's okay for Iran to be doing what they're doing or for the U.S. to get involved? Hey, that's not our call. That's not what we're here to discuss tonight. We're here to keep things light, and we're here to keep things fresh. And we're here to talk about Munich.
This is my personal feelings on this movie. This movie, to me, was the last time that Steven Spielberg really had something to say. You know, if you were to go through his filmography post Munich, and I'll pull it up and I'll read it to you. I just don't think he comes near the gravitas, the thoughtfulness, the questions asked that he posed in this movie. Now, post Munich, you had Crystal Skull, Tintin, Warhorse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, BFG, The Post, Ready Player One, West Side Story, Fabelmans. None of that really hits. You know what I mean? Like, this movie had something to say.
I disagree with you on one of those movies. If you have not seen Bridge of Spies...
Oh, I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I just don't think it had...
It was terrific.
I don't think it had nearly the thoughtful... Like when you left the theater from Munich, you were just... It was a gut punch. It was serious. It made you question vengeance, revenge. Is it just getting more violence? Is it just a never-ending cycle? Because we're still talking about the same things. This is 1972. We're still talking about these exact same things today. It is still relevant. And, look, a lot of those movies I mentioned, Spielberg's a fantastic filmmaker, right? Bridge of Spies is a great movie. But to me, it did not hit me the way this movie did. I just, that's my feelings about it. It's like, it's really, Spielberg hit a home run with this thing. And I don't think he's ever really lived up to this movie's potential, everything after it.
See, now I look at this from the opposite spectrum, and it carries on to today, where Israel's attacking Iran. For years, the Iranians sending bombs and having their caliphate go on over and conducting acts of terror, where they've been sponsoring acts of terror. And how long do you continue to be a victim and not throw a punch back? It's not an act of revenge. It's what do we have to do now to defend ourselves on an international level? And I think that's what Meir, who's the prime minister of Israel during the movie, is kind of asking yourself at the beginning of this movie is, we know what the right thing to do is, but we have dead Jews all over the place, and this is not something we can just bat away and just say, okay, we're just going to leave this again, because it's going to happen again tomorrow, and it's going to happen again the next day, and we can't allow this to kind of go unpunished at this point.
It's such a thing to be put in that chair and make that call, right? You know, here you have state-sponsored assassination, and that is the call you have to make. I mean, think about the weight of that. You know what I mean? You respond. You like, right? Like, this is what happened to, you know, we're going to respond. That was, you know, she had, there was a good scene, you know, where she's in front of all her advisors and generals and military, and everybody's eyes are on her, and she's making the call. You know, that it's a lot of weight in that scene. You know, that's you know, and like you said, it's just, you know, the cost of all this violence, and you know, they even address it in the film. Okay, you know, we took out this guy, but the guy that replaced him is 10 times worse. You know, and it's that message. For me, it's the cost of the violence and the retribution, and it's just an ongoing cycle. We got this one, but he's replaced by somebody worse, and then we're going to go get him, and then somebody's going to go get me. Now I'm being hunted. You know what I mean? It's like, because you look at Avner, and we could talk about, you know, Avner here. He starts off, and he's got a wife, he's got a child on the way. You know, his father was a war hero. His mother is, you know, lives alone, and he's a family guy. But he's not, this is not like his line of work, right? Like, what they get him into is, you know, being an assassin. That's not his line of work. And he becomes the team leader. And you see from the start of the movie to the end of the movie, one of the characters, Carl, has who he grows close with. He has this scene where he says, I once knew a man who would sleep in his closet. And we get to see Avner at that point where it's just all kind of falling apart in his head. You know, he's starting to be hunted. He's starting to see shadows. He's cutting open his mattress. He doesn't trust anything anymore. And he was not that way in the beginning of the movie when we meet him. You know, by the time the movie's done, he is basically, you know, his own people might be after him, out to get him, or his family. And that's what he's thinking. And it's such a, like, just, you know, from where he starts to where he ends, it's just like this, he's gone through it. And like, the respect that he gets is from those soldiers when he's back at the airport for the debriefing, when they pick him up. They're like, we know who you are. We know what you did, you know. And everywhere else, it's like, that's the only time I think he's basically like, oh man, thank you. You know, thank you for what you did. You know, but his bosses are just trying to basically bleed him dry. You know, do this, come back, you know, with the smile.
Give me receipts.
Give me receipts. Exactly.
Even if it doesn't exist, give me a receipt.
Yeah. It's really like, his journey is really just, it's a brutal end. And he's a shell of what he was at the beginning of the film.
Now, are you actually aware of the real reason that the mission stopped?
No.
There was an event in, I believe it was Lillehammer in Denmark, where they blew up the wrong person.
Oh, man.
And he had a pregnant wife. He was a Moroccan waiter. And that is what the event that actually ended their mission. It was not done in the movie for obvious reasons because it would be,
That's brutal.
yeah. So I mean, that's just something else you have to kind of live with. Is I actually killed the wrong person there. That was a person who's innocent. That baby's gonna grow up without a father, and it was not. And you know what the Israeli government said about this movie, right?
What did they say?
You ready?
Ready.
Steven Spielberg should stick to writing movies about dinosaurs.
Oh man, ouch.
So they were not fans of Munich. But let's go through this. This is after the 1972 Olympics, where the what is it? The Red October? Is that what they're called? Red Dawn, Red October,
Black September.
Black September. Thank you. They come in and they take all these Israeli Olympians hostage, and the world is just sitting on their hands, basically watching as it's live with Dan Rather, young Dan Rather, sitting there. And it's interesting how they got the news clips from the actual event that were going on with the fire, and how the Germans tried to go in there and tried to, I don't want to say dupe the Black September with the helicopters and everything, but
It was. What did you think of that? The way it opened and the way they incorporated the actual live broadcasts into the film.
my opinion is if I was one of those Olympians who helped those guys over the fence, I'd feel very, very terrible. I can't believe I was sneaking back in that night against the rules. I shouldn't have been doing it myself. And here's another club. Oh, I thought they were doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Oh, here, I'll help you up and over the fence. Not even thinking that, hey, something like this could kind of happen. And you think about it, it took 2001, September 11th, for us to put security in airports and everything like that. When this stuff
Yeah.
could have been going on here for years before that. I mean, 30 years before that.
Yeah.
So, again, I mean, it's just, but that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things, like when the violence occurs in this movie, it's graphic and it's brutal, and it's really sets the tone for what's ahead of you. You have the horrifying scene where some of them are Olympians are killed outright, and it sets the tone, and it is something that kicks back in Avner's head when we see him looking out a plane window, and so he's, I guess, thinking about the events, and we're, as the audience, shown piecemeal. This is the onset, this is the middle, and then the end at the airport later in the film. It's very brutal, and the cost of lives on for all of these people. Nobody came out of that. I mean, there were like 3 of them that got out of the Black September at the airport.
Yeah.
And it's it's just a brutal thing. And then you get the scene. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I think they said at the end of the movie that 11 of the 11 people who were responsible for this terror attack, they got all but 3 of them.
Yeah.
So,
we talked about Goldemeyer, and then we start to see the team, together. And it's not what you would expect, right? You have Carl, who is played by Ciarán Hinds, who
does a fantastic job in this movie.
What a great role. And he really hits it out of the park. And he's the guy that's cleaning up the scene. He's the guy that's thinking of what everybody else is not thinking of as far as cleaning up and making sure. He says, I'm the worrier. I worry. That's his role. He's making sure everything is taken care of. The scene is clean. We're getting away. Everything is, all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. We have Hans. And I'm trying to recall what Hans's specialty was.
Was he wasn't the tinkerer, right?
No, he wasn't the bomb maker. He was the bald guy.
The bald guy.
Yeah. Robert was the bomb maker, and then Daniel Craig as Steve, which was an interesting casting call because this is before people really knew who Daniel Craig was. Um, this is probably in the mainstream.
This is the role that got him Bond, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was Bond after this. Yeah, and he's kind of the hothead. He wants the action. He wants the smoke with everybody, and he's just, it's a good role for him. He's the one guy that I'm like, okay, I could see him as part of this group. The other guys, I'm like, huh, interesting. And you see, like when they get the first target, right? And they're just kind of like, okay, now what? And they end up drawing breadsticks, who gets the short breadstick. And, it was the bomb maker, Robert and Avner, that took care of the first one. But
they had to shoot him in the elevator, right?
Yeah, and you could see just how nervous they are in that scene. They cock their guns, they're pointed out, and the guy's pleading for his life. And
he goes, "Are you so and so?" And he goes, "You already asked him that."
Yeah,
I already told you who he was.
Yeah.
Are we doing this or are we not? Yeah.
Just the nervousness, because this is not what they do. Like, and this is their job though. So they didn't want to do it, but you have to do it. And they go through with it. And that's kind of the beginning of it for them. But you see the toll it takes. And that's something that throughout the movie, especially with Robert, the bomb maker, the toll it takes on him. And he tells them, he comes clean at one point. He's like, I make toys. I disassembled bombs. I never made them before. But here he is. He's the bomb maker.
And then he's blaming the C4 wasn't correct on the next job. And they're like, how come it didn't blow everything up? And the next one he uses almost a little too much, and he blows up too much.
Yeah.
The poor guy can't catch a break. It's like, oh, you use this much here. And it's like, oh, no. It's somebody's messing with this stuff. Somebody was trying to blow us up because he's getting paranoid about what he's doing.
Yeah. And Steve's ready to fight him. And it's, like there's moments where the team is just, they're arguing, they're fighting. And, no, you use too much, you use too little, you're an idiot, you're this, you're that. But you mentioned that the supplier of the explosives, and, we talk about Louis. And what did you think of Louis as a character?
So he's one of my favorite actors. I really didn't appreciate him in the James Bond movie that he did with Daniel Craig later on.
Yeah.
But in this movie in particular, I don't know why he has not in more things. He's just a terrific actor. And, of course, you got Michael Lonsdale as his father.
Yes.
Papa. He even takes, like, Steve, Banya's character.
Abner.
Abner under his wing at one point is like, no, I would tell you if we were going to do that to you. We're not after you. Are you still a cook? Are you still, how's your father? How's your mother? He's kind of giving him advice.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like the side characters really work in this movie because they're so proficient and they're so well developed. It's like when he puts the blindfold on and he goes to this house. You don't know what kind of meeting he's going to. He ends up at a party for kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and the wives are sitting there telling him, don't discuss business at dinner. And you can see his son's jealous that he's kind of taking a shine to this guy instead of, sympathizing more with Louis. He's like, no, we're going to continue to do business with you. We usually don't operate with governments, but in this case, because I like you, we're going to continue to do business.
And you pay well.
Oh, yeah. So that doesn't that always work?
Always.
That always works.
Always.
And even Louis at one point even tells him, here's your picture. People are after you. They've been asking about you. But don't worry, we haven't given you up yet. But your friends, we probably gave up the toy maker, by the way, who just got blown up.
And think about that, right? Avner is so accustomed to getting the names, getting the intel from Louis, that I don't think it ever crosses his mind that there's somebody watching him with pictures of him, with pictures of his group, and where they are until he's shown that picture. And, it's like, what? And just seeing that these guys, they're loyal to money. They're out there, their business is information and the almighty dollar. They're out for the money. As much as I'd like you, I can give you up at any point. And that's what that picture was. So, it adds to the the breaking of Avner's psyche almost, to the point where he's in the room cutting up his mattress, sleeping in the closet. That's where he ends up.
He's taking apart the telephone, all the ways that
Yeah.
they killed people. He's kind of coming back to him. And even when he gets back to the United States, he's finally reconnected with his wife and his daughter. Or his son, it was his daughter, right?
Yeah.
It was his daughter. And he's kind of like, he can't sleep at night. He's looking out the window all the time. He's seeing these cars pass by. He doesn't know who's kind of following him.
He goes to the embassy and has a meltdown.
Yeah.
He's seeing shadows everywhere, and that's how he's pretty much left after doing his duty, doing his job. It's really like you took a good man and you turned him into just a shell, there's scenes in here where they show, and there's two in particular that I'll say that I thought were really well done. Maybe even three. The scene with the phone in the apartment where they put the bomb in the phone, and there's some tension added where we're building up, we're getting in our positions, we're making sure everybody's out of the house, and then we're going to trigger the bomb. We're going to ring the phone. When he picks up, we're going to trigger the bomb. Boom. Sounds like a simple plan, but it doesn't go that way. But there's some really fantastic camera work in this movie. And I'm going to share just the opening part of that scene. Just the way it is starts looking all the way down at Carl in the phone booth. And then we pull back a little and here's the car with Robert and Steve. And then Hans is on the street. And then we pull back some more and there's Avner. And he looks up, camera goes up to the hotel room. And it's a cool, the way it's shot is so cool. And let's take a look real quick. It's just, I don't know. I love the way they just panning out and then following and then up. And we know where everybody is. We know we're just waiting for the moment. And the way they build it up, the girl forgets something. She has to go back in the building. And, they are just abort. They're just in a panic, run into the car, stop. And Robert's like, what, we're good. He's like this in the car. And then they have to decide to go through with it again after the girl goes back out of the apartment. I mean, it's such a tense scene. And, we have some more of this when Avner's in the hotel next to their one target. And this is when they use too much plastic explosive. And, he's like, it'll be fine. I'll signal. I'll turn the light off. You go. So he's sitting on the bed. He turns the light off and then it's just boom. You just see all this chaos and there's body parts in the ceiling and
the fan. Yeah.
And, the couple that just got married is blinded. They don't know what's going on. And Avner's struggling to get out of the house. And now we see Robert again is just beside himself in the car. I could have killed Avner. I could have killed all these other people.
But they kind of egged him on from the explosive before where it wasn't enough, and it was like he wanted to make sure this time he got the target.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like their own fault in a way. It's like, oh, we're gonna egg on you for not doing this, and then we're gonna egg on you for putting too much. So it's like there's no happy medium. It's
and the one other scene that I thought was notable was when they're in the safe house with that other group that Louis booked for the safe house, and there was a little standoff there, but you get a little bit of, you get some downtime with the characters, and you have the scene where Daniel Craig's character and the other character fighting over the radio.
and they were Iranians, weren't they?
I think they were. No, I think they said they were PLA.
That's right, PLO. Yeah, PLO.
PLO, yeah, and
they're working with the Russians though.
And
right.
They're going back and forth on the radio. I want to listen to this. I'm going to listen to that.
Well, they're enemies. I mean,
Yes.
So I mean, obviously they're both undercover. They have their own missions and objectives, and this is supposed to be a safe house. And of course, Louis kind of set them up. So, oh yeah, you're safe here. Don't worry about it.
Yep. It's
Did you notice that all of these targets in the initial beginning of this movie, they're all like on book tours. They're doing speeches, and it's like no one's hiding. No one thinks that this is going to come back on them. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, that guy got blown up last week, and this other guy got shot in the elevator. Oh, you might kind of be next on his list. No, it's like never a thought. It's like, no, I'm safe being out in the open, and it's not until they go after one of the guys who was actually involved in the attack that the Americans step in, because they're getting their kickback on information, and they won't attack America as long as America's in their pocket. And it's just everything's underhanded, and everybody's got connections to everybody else. And these guys are playing catch up with everything that's going on. So it's just everything's a web of intrigue at this point, and you don't know who to trust, to the point where Abner's running back to Israel asking him, what did this person do that we're going to execute them and kill them? Mm-hmm. Can you show me any evidence?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any proof? How do we know we're not just killing made-up people on a list?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what do you mean we're not supposed to leave Europe? What do you mean we can't go to America, or we can't go to the Middle East to come after these targets? And of course, they do end up leaving and going after some of these targets anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Would you say there's any of these actors was a standout for you in this movie?
Yeah, I think they continue to stand out. You mentioned Saren Hands. I saw him in A Land of Saints and Sinners with Liam Neeson recently, and he was fantastic in that. He played a sheriff in that, a constable in that movie.
Super.
Michael Lonsdale, who was in Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed him. Day of the Jackal. I'm not going to say Daniel Craig because he's too easy. Jeffrey Rush, who played the receipt guy. You almost didn't like him. It was like, because you think he'd be more like comedic, and he plays serious roles, but he was like, give me the name. He's like a villain in this. I want the name of your contact. Give me the person who you were in contact with, because obviously what's going to happen. He already agreed. I'm not giving these guys up because I know what's going to happen to me if I do.
Yep.
And you don't have to take that on. I'd have to live with that. And I've been to their house. I've seen their family. I've looked these people in their eyes and told them I'm not going to give them up.
Yep.
And here's his own government saying, we financed you. You need to tell us. And he's like, I really don't remember.
I don't work for you.
Yeah, that's right. You disavowed me at this point. Yeah, you disavowed me. Even the guy who played Abner's wife, good-looking woman, strong woman in this, she tells him at the beginning, I'm going to be your wife until I choose not to be.
Mm-hmm.
That could be any day.
Yeah.
So go do what you got to do. I'm not happy about it. I may or may not be here when you get back. Now she stays, but does she stay in real life? I'd love to know. I mean, we won't ever know. So, but that's just my opinion. Again, some of the actors, the guy who played Louis, I'm like a fantastic role in this.
Yeah. What do you think of John Williams' score?
It was good, but it was. So this is my problem with the whole movie. You ready?
Go.
I thought this was his opus, Steven Spielberg. If you're gonna make a clip, this is the clip to use right here, okay? For me talking about this movie. This is my favorite Spielberg film. My favorite. It didn't get any more emotional, intrigue, the plot, the dialogue, everything. However, watching Jaws back in March and then watching this in June and comparing the two, it wasn't even close that Jaws was the better film.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Take it as you want. I felt Munich, as many times as I've seen it, was a little stale on the rewatch, whereas Jaws, I was still hooked. I was still intrigued. I was still there. I was ready and willing with Jaws still to get emotionally reinvested with the characters. And I had just watched Jaws last year and the year before that, and probably the year before that too.
Yep.
Because again, it's on TNT all the time or TBS all the time. So I'm usually watching it like once a year, whereas Munich isn't played as many times on broadcast network television. But I probably have seen it in the last, 5 or 6 years. But for me, Jaws was the clear-cut winner between the two Spielberg films for me.
That's fair. Yeah,
So
that's fair.
This is my opinion.
That's fair.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, just,
For me, I mentioned it earlier. Like, to me, this is a very. He had a lot to say with this movie, and it shows. And my opinion, it shows in the things that have come after this movie. Like, nothing for me has hit hard and hit as hard as this movie. Like when Schindler's List came out, that was another like powerful movie. And you're talking at this time for Spielberg. He's coming off of, he's had like a run like, 93. He was Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, then Lost World, Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, AI, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, Terminal, and in 2005 he did War of the Worlds and Munich. That's a run that there's not many filmmakers that have been on a run like that, and everything that's come after this hasn't been it for me. So like this is a good, like, it really just, to me, it's Spielberg with something to say, and he put together a fantastic film that is it makes you think.
There's one thing that I've learned just based off that entire list that you just ran through, is that Spielberg should not make movies with Tom Cruise.
Oh.
You tell me Minority Report and World of Worlds.
They're not his top movies. No, I think Minority Report is better than War of the Worlds. So
anything is better than World of Worlds. Yeah. The TV show that they had on Fox back in the 80s with a young Duncan MacLeod. I'm serious, he was in that. Was better than the crap that Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg put out with World of Worlds, the movie. Because it was more interesting that, I don't know if you watched it or not. Growing up, it was on Fox all the time after Friday the 13th, the series. Basically, the aliens that invaded the planet had found a way to get past the virus. And what they did was they ingested themselves and hid themselves inside of people.
Interesting.
So you didn't know who was an alien and who was not.
That's interesting.
And at the end of the first season, their entire network of individuals going around hunting these aliens has been exposed and blown up. And somebody has to come in and save them and try to get everybody out as the White House, I think, explodes or something like that at the time. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do that nowadays, but
right.
That was the premise of the TV show. And they ended up hiding and making a new base in the sewer, but again, that was
with the Ninja Turtles.
Again, it was just a interesting show. What we're going to do with enough about World of Worlds, but You want to
Yeah.
talk any more about Munich, or you want to close?
I mean,
thoughts at this point?
I think I've said what I needed to say about this movie. I think you've covered your end. Yeah, I mean, if you've not seen this movie, I see it once, see it at least once. I mean, it's a spy thriller, some heavy drama. Like I said, when the violence hits, it hits hard, and it leaves you at the end of the movie like it's not a happy ending. It's you're left kind of just to think about what you've seen and was the cost worth any of this? It's bleak. It's bleak.
I look at what happened with the was it the pager incident that they had recently, where all the pagers blew up from all the top operatives after October 4th because they were going after that network. And it's like, wow, how long is it before a movie is made about that? Because I hate to say that Hollywood's probably looking at that already. It might be 5 or 10 years before it comes to fruition, but how they planted those bombs and those pagers and have them all go off at the same time, they had all those high value targets, and basically circumcise them. But
well, there you have it. That's our review of Munich.
Hayden, we had 3 movies last week we looked at.
Yes.
And by the way, before I start, I gotta.
Oh, you gotta post the belt. Yeah.
Look.
Oh, before you put the belt on, let's have a look at that Nostromo shirt you're rocking there.
Oh, yeah. It's underneath mine. You know what it is I've lost a little bit of weight, Hayden, and my sleek figure is not, blown up like it is. You know what it is? I'm fasting 15, 16 hours a day now. And I've lost about 10 pounds.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I don't eat from like 8 o'clock until 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
I'll take a little like a protein shake or something, but not.
Yeah.
I won't eat after 8 o'clock. Usually, sometimes it might be 7 o'clock. Like tonight was, I'm trying to think. What time did I eat last? 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
5:30. So probably about 5:30. So tomorrow I'll probably eat around 10:30, 11 o'clock. But
right.
10 pounds. That's look, it's a start.
Good for you, man. Good
without having to do anything. Yeah.
Nice. Good for you, bud.
So we had 3 movies we reviewed, you, me, and Oshel last week, or a couple weeks, last month actually.
Yeah, May.
Last month. And those 3 movies were Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, Karate Kid Legends. Have you seen any of these 3 movies?
I saw Mission Impossible.
How was it?
Long, but there's some really, really good scenes in there, man. Say what you will about the plot. I'm not like that. The AI continuation from the previous film is not the best in this franchise. It's not, but man, they can put together action sequences. They can put together tension really well. And listen, Tom Cruise, man, he still got it. He still got it. Like he did so much stuff in this film. Like he's going to deserve that honorary Oscar they give him this year.
I had the opportunity to see Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
My daughter really enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So high marks for Lilo and Stitch for me. I know some people were upset with certain aspects of the film not being true to the original. Forget all that. It's entertaining as anything, and it was nice to see Tia Carrere in something again.
Oh man, Dreamweaver.
You can't forget her in that red dress. I mean, you just can't because it's iconic. I mean, it's
right.
Wayne's World. I mean, that's what it is. But she's not the focus of the movie. Obviously, I'm just pointing it out. There's some comedy in there for everybody, and for me, it's wrapped around a more heartfelt story of this little girl and her sister. Trying to come to grips with everything after the loss of their parents, and the older sister's trying to hold everything together, and the younger sister just keeps messing up. And it's getting to the point where the older sister just can't get a career going. She can't watch her anymore, and now this monster comes down and starts wreaking more chaos and havoc. And worth a watch if you got kids who like that kind of stuff. But here we go, Hayden. Lilo and Stitch. You said 90. I said 102. Oshel said 103. Actual retail number 183.
183.
183.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
Oshel took that one.
That's a lot of money.
Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. You said 85. I said 65. Oshel said 78. Actual retail number was 63.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got that one.
Nice. You're almost on to the number almost.
Karate Kid Legends. You said 45. I said 60. Oshel said 51. Actual retail number was a disappointing 21. 21. So you took that one. As a three-way tie happens.
Oh, man.
And the belt stays for another week.
We're going to have to take the poll cue and snap it in half and drop it in between the three of us.
Look, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that. So, look, we will not be doing movie releases next week because it's a short week. There's only one movie that's out, which is 28 weeks later, which we're going to be talking about in a second. And that is the next movie we intend to kind of review. So we're doing 3 movies tonight, and that'll be over the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And those 3 movies starting off with 28 years later. Hayden, give me the number.
This is getting good reviews.
It's funny that you say that because I saw somebody call this a boring zombie remake. So go ahead.
Interesting.
Okay. I don't watch or read them because I don't want to ruin.
I'm not looking for. I'm just catching like the
right.
This is like just the one word. Karate Kid was where 20,
21,
and this is R-rated. 45.
I'm gonna go 30. I think it's hard for a horror movie to hit those kinds of upper tier numbers. This is a trilogy that's 20 years in the making at this point. I'm not saying it won't get a lot of people in to see the theater. I just think it could be spaced out over a couple weeks. Just my guess, but hey, we'll see who's right and who's wrong. The next movie is the Brad Pitt NASCAR F1. I'll go ahead and I'll start this one off here, Hayden. $72. So I'll go 72 million. That's again opening weekend. I think this is probably as much of a summer blockbuster leading up to July 4th that you're going to get. First week, all the kids are out of school. Brad Pitt's still a draw. Could be a lot of NASCAR fans out there. Let's face it, there's not a lot of movies made about NASCAR and driving.
I'm going to agree with you. I think you're right. I'm going to go 80. This thing looks good. And this is the director of Top Gun Maverick. And there looks to be some pretty solid race scenes in this thing. And the last F1 movie I could think of was Gran Turismo a couple years ago, which I really liked that movie. And this looks like that on steroids with like an A-list actor attached to it. And the visuals from this look pretty cool. And they actually did a haptic trailer for like iPhone where it vibrates when like the car racing scenes. And I actually let my daughter watch it. I was like, "Here, what do you think of this? What do you think of this trailer?" And she's like holding the phone. She's like, "Oh, it's vibrating when the cars are going by." And she thought it was pretty cool. She said the movie looks pretty good too. So
it does. It looks great. If I had to pick between 28 years later and F1, I'd probably go see them both. I mean, that's just how I'm looking at things. The third movie up, Megan 2.0.
When does that come out?
Opening the same day as F1.
That's tough.
That's a tough opening for Megan.
Now, from what I understand about Megan 2.0, it's the T2 of the Megan universe. So,
have you seen Megan?
Yes. I liked
What'd
it.
you think? Yes.
I liked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
surprising hit, right? I mean, it was
Yeah.
surprisingly well done, had a heartfelt story to it.
Yeah.
It was, you felt for the characters in the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I think they're going to have a hard time replicating that.
You know, it's funny you say that. I don't think they're going to replicate it. I think they're going into action movie, more on the action end. And if you see the trailers, you see that, well, the Megan robot is now going to be the protector, which is why I'm saying this is T2. They're going full T2 with this thing.
I look, the trailer does not look interesting to me at all. I'm a fan of Megan. I watched it 2 or 3 times. I just am not excited about Megan 2.0. I like how they explained how Megan, the doll, grew up a little bit. Like they had to rebuild her body. I like how they kind of explained that a little bit. But bringing back another robot that tried to kill me to deal with a robot that's trying to kill me now.
Come on, man. James Cameron would like to have a word with you.
Well, he can. He can get in line. Is right behind that curtain. All right. What are you laughing at? That's not funny. I tell you what, I just came up because I had to do rewrites for Crimson Harvest, and Xander was like, "Hey, I need you to rewrite the opening and the ending because I need 20 lines for this character who's fresh, and I need another 10 for this guy, and I need 20 for this one. So, hey, add me 50 lines, and, hey, I need it by Tuesday." And I came up with something brilliant. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I mean, it was like, wow.
Nice.
And
nice.
I'm not saying it's any good. I'm just saying, for me, it was like so much better than the opening that I currently had. And I was like, wow. And we'll talk about it off air, but it's just, I don't want to give anything away or any spoilers.
No.
Because it might not even be picked up because he might look at it and be like, this is trash. I can't use this. And at which point it's like, well, okay, where are these 20 lines going? So it's yes or no. But Megan 2.0, I'll start us off. I'm going to say $9 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I say that's, and I don't know if that was low. That's actually low. But against F1, I think everybody's going to go F1.
Tough. Oh, yeah.
And if you're a horror fan, you're still going to see 28 years later.
Yeah. I don't think you're too far off. I'm a little higher. I'm at 15.
Okay.
And I can see this movie not even touching really the popularity of Megan. It could be one of those massive week 2 drops. I guess it's going to depend on how actually the movie is and how people receive basically what is T2 with a female doll. Maybe they have a new spin on it. For me, that's the first thing I'm defaulting to is T2 because that's what I saw in the trailer. That's the plot. We'll see if it's any good.
Have you seen Sinners yet?
No, but again, I think I will stick with my default Dusk Till Dawn. I don't know. I mean, it looks like the exact same movie.
You're not far off, except there's no titty twister.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no Selma Hayek.
Yeah,
and there's this bar is only for truckers. I'm a trucker. I have my CDL. These are my friends.
Harvey Keitel.
Okay.
I know it's on digital. I think I'll wait till
it gets a little cheaper. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's not something I may even just pay to rent it. It's just I know a lot of people are speaking highly of it. I trust your opinion on it because you and I have pretty similar tastes.
You might like it. I mean, look, for me, the acting in it was okay. It just didn't hit home for me. talking to people at work, they seem to really like this thing. The reviewers really seem to like this thing.
Yeah.
For me, it did not do
I
it.
mean, give me the Gecko Brothers like all day.
Yeah, like I said, but Hayden, we
Vampire killers. Let's kill some vampires.
still have to write. I want you to get Drafted Digital, Hayden, because I really want to sit down with you and we want to. I'm telling you, that Seagull massacre on the Jersey Shore plot. I'm telling you,
Goldmine.
look, why not?
Goldmine.
If we sat down and just started spitballing some ideas, I'm telling you,
We'd have it. Yeah.
we'd have a script at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look,
I don't
go back and
disagree.
forth.
I don't disagree.
Look, take that 150 from. I'm serious, because it only cost you 110 for Drafted Digital, so you're actually saving $40, and you get it for a lifetime. It's no like yearly subscription; it's a lifetime. It's yours, and we can sit down and start writing that thing out, man.
There you go.
Mobsters and chicks in bikinis and toxic waste. Peter Dinklage. We got everybody on the Jersey Shore. What are you laughing at? It's not funny.
It's Sopranos meets Star Wars. We got it.
Well, did you see the question online? It was on X. Who wins, the Borg or the Death Star?
The Borg. The Borg.
Well, I said the Borg would just come in from the side that the laser's not on.
Yeah, and they just take over.
I mean, that's just my guess.
Everybody be part of the hive. Yeah.
So. But that's all I got for tonight, Hayden. Borg versus Death Star.
Borg versus Death Star. We'll have
There you go.
that showdown. We'll have a debate about that one.
Next time we're here, 28 years later, we'll be talking about it.
See you guys then.